I'm Stephen Foskett, founder of Gestalt IT and Tech Field Day, and we are here at Pure Accelerate in San Francisco 2018. And I am catching up with some great folks here, not just folks from Pure, but also good friends from the industry. And I'm joined now by Justin Warren.
Great, thanks Stephen. I'm the founder, CEO, and chief analyst at PivotNine.
Chief bottle washer and plate cleaner.
That is it. Everything is my fault.
Everything is your fault. All right. So Justin and I have known each other for quite a while now. You might recognize him from such hits as Tech Field Day and every other industry event. And so we were together this morning at the keynote, and we were just together for the analyst activities, capped off by some time with the new CEO of Pure. And so there are many exciting things to talk about. I guess let's start with what you've been excited about, which is some of the the financials, the purchasing, that sort of thing.
Yeah, pretty much. Well, I'm excited by Pure's financial numbers. I wrote them up in Forbes not too long ago. I've liked I've liked their numbers for a long, long time. I think they do an excellent job of actually making money. So, surprise, surprise. Customers really like the product. They have plenty of product, and they're shipping plenty of it, and they're doing it consistently year over year over year. They're pretty much cash flow positive now, and they have plenty of cash at bank to go and do whatever they like, which brings up an interesting point, because Charlie made some very interesting noises in that last session we had. It's like they've got around, a bit over $1 billion in cash, I think.
Yep.
And the discussion turned around to, well, you're an independent storage company, and the last independent storage company that managed to stay independent with $1 billion in revenue was NetApp, and that was 20 years ago. So will you stay independent? Will you get bought by someone? And Charlie went through the list of competitors that might be interested in buying them, and usual suspects, so Dell EMC, HP, Cisco, maybe not. And pretty much everybody he ruled out. He said there's not really any possibility that any of them are going to buy or want to buy Pure, because they're a public company. They could just come in and buy the shares. But then he said, well, he would like other products to sell. And he's acknowledged that there are gaps in the portfolio from Pure. And not all of those is he likely to be building internally, I think. I think there is
Yeah, because another thing that he said was that Pure prides themselves in focusing their development resources more than the big competitors. So the big competitors may have a lot more R&D money, but it's spread across many more product lines.
Yeah, there's about 20%, I think. The numbers have been dropping as a percentage of revenue over the past few years, but it's still well above 20% as in terms of total sales. And Charlie seems to be very keen on keeping it fairly high. And he made a point of saying that the reason that it stays that high is because he wants to invest a lot of money per product line, not just a huge amount of money, because they happen to be much, much bigger companies in terms of revenue, but as a percentage of total revenue, which roughly stays the same as you scale the company. That is what enables you to have high-tech products that stay right at the bleeding edge, which is where Pure likes to play. So if they have a new product that they want to go and do, well, they could go and develop it from scratch internally. But for some of those, if there's a good fit, it makes a lot of sense for Pure to go and use some of that cash to just go and buy something that would fill one of the gaps that it's got in its product portfolio. And there's some really interesting ideas around who that might be.
And it's not just filling gaps either. I mean, basically, it's all gaps. I mean, Pure has two big product lines basically.
Yep.
And so there's not just that there's gaps, it's that there's a whole world of things that they could sell.
Yes.
And specifically what Charlie said was that they've got a good sales force and they would love to have them have more things to sell.
Yep.
Now, looking around at the conference here, there are quite a few logos on the list. Like you said,
lots of partners.
There's lots of partners. The challenge would be to pick something that is affordable, that is a fit, so to speak, with
the portfolio, make
overall,
sure that the people and the process and everything else would fit in and wouldn't break the Pure culture, because everyone from Hat to Charles, everyone at Pure is very keen on making sure that the Pure culture stays the same, and they've been consistent about doing that. It's good to see. So it would be something that would have to be compatible.
They can sell.
Have to be something that they can sell.
That the sales force would be able to push.
And sell to the customers that they've already got.
Exactly.
So which is definitely enterprise. They're very much focused on expanding moving into the Global 2000 and Fortune 100 and that kind of company. So it's not going to be an SMB type product. It's probably not even going to be a commercial or mid-market product. It would be something which is definitely geared towards enterprise. My mind goes immediately to something like Zerto, which is definitely, it's a great product. People really like it. It's pitched right at the top of the enterprise. It doesn't have a lot of other competitors in that particular space. There's some who are trying to move into that space, and there are some that Zerto is trying to encroach on other parts of the market.
Move a little bit.
Because there's a limit to the amount of growth that you've got. So, in terms of total addressable market, they want to expand that because that means that your valuation will go up and you can get more funding and so on. And all companies want to be able to grow into a new area. It would make a lot of sense to me that Zerto and Pure together is a pretty good idea. There's challenges there, and I'd need to go and look at the details, and the price would have to be right. But I can't see why not.
So that would be a fit. Can you think of anybody else that might work? Just off the top of my head, looking at who's here, we've got Veeam, we've got Actifio, we've got Rubrik, we've got, Cohesity, we've got Turbonomic. I'm trying to think of who I saw downstairs. Basically, if they're going to buy somebody, it's going to be somebody that's downstairs on the show floor.
That is likely, but someone like, a Cohesity maybe, but that would move Pure into doing more of a hyperconverged play, and Charlie was pretty clear that he doesn't want to sell compute, so I can't see them going into a hyperconverged type market. Rubrik would be too expensive. Maybe
would be too expensive.
Cohesity is possibly too expensive. You might be able to do something with that. Actifio, maybe. I can't see why you'd want to. Maybe Commvault, but even there, I still think that would probably be too expensive. So you're talking about someone that is a reasonably easily purchase to make that would slot into the existing product portfolio without shaking the boat too much. So I can't see him doing a buy of an equivalent size company or even something up to even 25 or 30% of the size. Maybe it'd be something like about 10% to maybe 20% of the size at the top, and that rules out a lot of the floor. Veeam is totally, no, it wouldn't buy Veeam, and I don't think that Ratmir and friends would sell either. They're having too much fun. So it really is a limited number of companies that they could buy.
So what do you think, Zerto?
I'd be looking at it pretty hard. I was just at ZertoCon yesterday, as it turns out. So yes, red-eye flights are a great fun. And I think that could work. Yeah, I think that could work.
I guess we'll find out, folks. So, is there anything else from the show that stood out? We talked a little bit here about a lot of financials, a lot of business stuff.
Yep.
How about on the product side?
On the product side, I really like the way that the FlashArray//X is coming along. I think that's great. I like the evergreen storage way of doing things. Again, there's a bit more on the business side of things, but it's part of the product. It's how you buy it, and as people from Pure were saying, it's very sticky. It's very easy to buy it and then just keep buying it because it's storage as a service, essentially. But the way it's priced...
Well, it's literally storage as a service when it comes to the new ES2 offering.
Correct. So, they have the ES2 offering, which is basically, hey, would you just like to lease some storage from us and we'll just take care of everything, which takes advantage of the way they've done the evergreen. But it's the same operating model regardless of whether you lease it from them or you buy it on CapEx, because essentially you just buy it and then it gets refreshed constantly. And they very deliberately set it up so that they encourage you to buy the latest model. So you can buy the latest model of FlashArray//X at roughly the same equivalent price for FlashArray//M, which is not that old. So that's really going to put a lot of pressure on people who's like, hey, if I've got some M and I'm looking at upgrading it, I'd just buy X. So they're not going to be selling much more M in even 18 months' time.
Well, that was an interesting conversation I had yesterday with one of the engineering side folks, pointing out that essentially M and X, they're basically the same thing.
That's right. Yeah.
And if you swap out some components here and there, you can end up with the same product. As long as it's a flash array from recent vintage, you basically have the new system.
Yeah.
You don't get the pretty bezel with the octagons and stuff, but and that's a pretty cool way to be. And as you said, data migration is not like it used to be. It's just growth.
It's just growth. Yeah, it's really easy to swap in a new chassis or a new controller head, and it's not like you have to plan for it the way you did. It's non-disruptive. You just get used to it. So now it's just operating the storage, which is really simple. The other thing I really like is the AI side of things. Now, AI and machine learning is pretty hypey, I think. There are some benefits to using it, but the thing that they've done with NVIDIA, with the, what's it called, the AI ARI, that's right, AIRI, The Airy platform, where it's a little cube thing that you buy under your desk and it's got integrated network and storage and everything else, that's pretty much like a flash stack or a converged infrastructure thing, but it's got a whole bunch of NVIDIA GPUs in it. I can see that being very popular with anyone who wants to do stuff around data and analytics, and there's lots of people who are playing with that. So they're going to sell a lot of shovels to people who are trying to go and strike it rich mining gold. But in the process of doing that, I think that we'll see them find things that it's good for, and a lot of people will have maybe projects that don't work so great, but they'll end up finding something that it does work quite well for, and that's just going to drive revenue for Pure and all of the partners that are doing things. So it's good for NVIDIA, it's good for Arista, it's good for Cisco. I think that's a good product for them to put into the portfolio.
Now, one thing, just to finish up here, one thing that stuck out to me in the announcements and so on. They had the FlashBlade guy come on, and he talked about FlashBlade, and it's important that customers see that FlashBlade is a separate product line, but it really looked separate to me. It's not yet part of ES2. It is part of their data replication strategy, synchronization, but how do you feel about the FlashBlade business now? I think it's 2 years on?
Yeah, I don't think it's being as successful as they'd originally hoped. I think that as a product, it is probably struggling a little bit in market. I don't know exactly why, and they've certainly become rather coy about how much of revenue is being driven by each of the different product portfolios. They're essentially saying, we're not going to do that anymore.
They went out and absolutely tried to lay a stake in the ground, though, and say, it's 20% of something.
Yes, it's 20% of something. So they want to say it's not.
So it's not
nothing. It's not a failure.
20% of something.
Yeah, but I don't think it's taking over. It was clearly positioned at launch as we're going to go and take on NetApp, and we're going to take a whole bunch of market share off NetApp and do something which is just NFS storage. Is nice. It's relatively cheap and deep, but it's all flash, and we'll do that. I don't think it's been the blow the doors off success that they were hoping for. I don't really know why. I suspect it's probably something to do just with price point and some of the integrations that are possible with all of the ecosystem, that people with NetApp can't just pick up some FlashBlade and throw it in where they had their NetApp and just do a one-to-one. I think that's probably the inertia that they're having to go up against with NetApp.
Yeah, it seems like they're trying to find new markets for FlashBlade. I mean, that's my feeling, that they have a product that's now a viable product. It has some customers that are doing some things with it, including some interesting things. The question seems to be, what exactly is this, and how should we sell it? What's it for? Yeah, exactly.
And it seems to be a common thing. It was originally put out there as tier 1 storage, but for tier 2 workloads, kind of. But it's one above, like tier 0 being the super fast stuff, and this is more the cheap and deep, big fat middle. I think it's actually going a little bit further down market than that. I think they're going for something which is more cheap and deep. So we're seeing things around backup workloads, where it's a landing zone for data that is being backed up and then potentially reused for something else. Which means that it's not just, hey, I need to store it over there on something cheap. I need to use it, so I want to have fast read access and good bandwidth.
That was the pitch. No cold data, right?
No cold data. Yeah.
So so you're not going to put cold data on FlashBlade. You're going to put data that you might have thought was cold, but turns out to be kind of hot. In certain ways.
Yeah, so it's probably tier 2 stuff. Maybe it's going to be R&D workloads. It's going to be test and dev. It's going to be that kind of traditional. It's quick, but not quite quick enough stuff. So it's not running the business, but it's the support functions that you're running other parts of the business on. Maybe they'll have some success there, and the devil will be in the detail on that.
Yeah, my feeling is that frankly, FlashArray was such it was aimed right at the center of right at the bullseye of the market, that it would be almost impossible for them to come out with a second or third or fourth product line that had anything like the success of FlashArray, just because FlashArray is right at the fat part of the market. And so by definition, any new product has to be on some kind of periphery. Hopefully it's a growing periphery, and we'll see. That's what I'm going to be looking for in future days of Pure's announcements and Pure's events like Accelerate.
Yeah, same. I'm looking to see how they develop that particular platform and how they add to it. So it'll be a creative function, it'll be a creative partnerships. That's where I think we'll see the momentum of where is this ending up to be, where is it going to be positioned when it is a really good, solid product, as distinct from the minor success that it is at the moment.
Well, thank you so much, Justin. It's great to catch up with you, and it's great to have somebody take a skeptical eye of things and maybe inject some realism into the hype that we've heard. It certainly was an amazing keynote this morning. Lots of confetti.
Lots of confetti.
I still have some confetti in my hair from this morning. So those of you watching, thank you very much for joining us. You'll find more videos like this. Just go to YouTube, search for Gestalt IT. Also go to gestaltit.com. And in your favorite podcast app, look for the On-Premise IT Roundtable podcast, which we are using correctly because each episode features a premise, which we discuss. Yes. Hopefully, maybe we'll get one of those recorded here at Accelerate this week. Thank you very much, and we'll see you next time.